The corridor lights flicker against freshly waxed floors. It's 11:45 p.m. The sound of a mop dragging across tile echoes through the silence. Maya Lopez, 32, small-framed, tired eyes, hums softly under her breath. Her reflection warping in the glass display of the Hall of Founders. Framed photographs of powerful men and women stare back at her. Deans, donors, and alumni. Their smiles gleam in expensive suits. Maya's reflection doesn't belong among them. Not yet. A door opens at the end of the hall. Voice, "You're still here?" She flinches, nearly dropping the mop handle. It's Dean Robertson, late 50s, silver hair. The kind of man who makes his presence known without raising his voice. Maya, sorry, sir. I'm almost done. Just finishing the floor before morning classes. Dean Robertson, you were supposed to clock out 2 hours ago. Maya, quietly, I know. The science wing had a spill. Someone dropped paint. I didn't want it to stain the new floors. He sighs, looking around like the walls themselves displease him. Dean Robertson, you take your work a bit too seriously sometimes, Ms. Lopez. Maya, it's just... I like leaving things better than I found them. He doesn't reply. He just studies her mop, her faded uniform, the exhaustion in her face. Dean Robertson, you were warned about staying past hours. Overtime isn't authorized for part-time staff. You know the policy? Maya's hands tighten on the mop handle. Maya, yes, sir. I know. Dean Robertson, and yet, here you are. There's no cruelty in his voice. Just indifference, which somehow hurts worse. Maya, please, sir. Don't write me up. I need this job. Robertson glances toward his watch. Dean Robertson, it's not up to me anymore. Administration's reviewing all auxiliary staff contracts this week. Cuts are coming. She looks up sharply. Maya cuts? Dean Robertson, you didn't hear it from me. He starts walking away, his footsteps fading. Maya stands in silence, her heart pounding against the hum of the fluorescent lights. She whispers, barely audible, Maya, please. Don't fire me! I have nowhere else to go. Maya kneels beside a broken vacuum motor, screwdriver in hand. The small room is filled with cleaning supplies and stale air. A tiny radio plays old jazz, muffled, comforting. She pulls out a folded envelope from her pocket. Notice of rent due. Final warning. Beneath it, a photo, her mother in a hospital bed. Next to it, a little girl's crayon drawing. Mommy's superhero at work. Maya blinks back tears and keeps working. The motor sputters. Whirs, then catches life again. She smiles faintly. Maya, whispering, there you go. Just needed a little care. She doesn't see the man standing outside the doorway, watching quietly. Ethan Reed, 38. He's wearing jeans, a hoodie, and a university visitor's badge. But there's something sharp about his gaze, observant, analytical, like he's measuring more than what he sees. He watches as Maya wipes her hands, closes the vacuum and stretches her sore back. Ethan, you fixed that thing yourself. Maya startles, quickly standing. Maya! I didn't see you there. Sorry, sir. Visitors aren't... This area's closed at night, Ethan, smiling faintly. Didn't mean to scare you. I got lost looking for the alumni office. Guess I took a wrong turn. Maya, the alumni building's closed after 8. You can come back in the morning. Athana, figures. You're here late. She gives a small shrug. Maya, some things don't clean themselves. He chuckles softly. But there's warmth behind it. Ethan, you sound like someone who takes pride in her work. Maya, it's honest work. That's enough. Ethan studies her face. Not the uniform, not the mop, but her eyes. The kind of look that says he's trying to understand something beyond words. Ethan, you've been here long? Maya, almost a year. Not that anyone really notices. Ethan, people notice more than you think. She frowns, half amused. Maya, you say that like you've worked a mop before. Ethan, smiling. Maybe I have. Maybe I haven't. They share a faint smile. The first hint of warmth in Maya's long night. Ethan, glancing around. You know, this place used to be different. When I studied here, janitors, cafeteria workers, they were like family. They knew every student's name. Maya, now it's all about budget meetings and policy memos. Family doesn't fit in spreadsheets. He nods, as if confirming something he already knew. Ethan, you sound like someone who's seen both sides of hard times. Maya doesn't answer. She just gathers her supplies and forces a polite smile. Maya, I should finish up. Have a good night, sir. Ethan, softly. You too, Ms. Lopez. She stops. He said her name. Her badge had flipped inward. He couldn't have read it. When she looks up again, he's gone. The university staff gather for the annual budget review meeting. Dozens of employees sit nervously. Janitors, cafeteria workers, office assistants. Maya clutches her folder, sitting near the back. Dean Robertson stands at the podium, clearing his throat. Dean Robertson, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your service to Northbridge University. Unfortunately, due to restructuring and the recent merger with Reed Holdings, Maya's head jerks up. Dean Robertson, several auxiliary positions will be reviewed for termination, effective immediately. A low murmur ripples through the room. Maya's throat tightens. Reed Holdings? She's heard that name before. Dean Robertson continues, reading from a sheet. Dean Robertson, please note that evaluations are based on budget efficiency and staff necessity. Department heads will meet with you individually. Maya stares down at her hands. Her palms are trembling. A half-empty vending machine hums in the corner. Maya sits with Carlos, an older janitor with a limp and a permanent smile. Carlos, you okay, kid? Maya, they're firing people, Carlos. I can feel it. Carlos, sighing. It's the same every year. They talk about efficiency, and it's always people like us who pay for it. He leans back, takes a sip of old coffee. Carlos, softly. You ever think about leaving this place? Maya, whispering. And go where? I've got a daughter, a sick mother, rent. This job's all I've got. Carlos nods, sympathy in his tired eyes. Carlos, then keep your head down and do what you do best. Work hard, stay kind. Sometimes that's enough. A knock at the door interrupts them. Dean Robertson stands there. Expression unreadable. Dean Robertson's, Lopez. I need to see you in my office. Maya freezes. Carlos gives her hand a reassuring squeeze. Carlos, go on, kid. Maybe it's good news, but they both know it isn't. The office smells like polished wood and coffee. Maya stands across from the dean, hands clasped. He clears his throat, avoiding eye contact. Dean Robertson, I'll make this brief. As of today, your position has been flagged for termination due to downsizing. Maya's world spins. Maya, sir, please. You can't. I need this job. Dean Robertson, I'm sorry. The decision wasn't mine. It came from Reed Holdings. They're reviewing staffing efficiency. Maya steps forward, desperation cracking her voice. Maya, please, don't fire me. I have nowhere to go. Her words hang in the air like a prayer. The dean sighs. Dean Robertson, I'll give you a week's notice. That's all I can do. Maya turns toward the door, fighting back tears, when a voice cuts through the silence. Ethan, OS. Actually, I'll take it from here. Maya turns. Standing at the doorway is Ethan, but this time, he's not in jeans and a hoodie. He's in a dark, tailored suit. Behind him, two board members stand waiting. Ethan, calmly, Dean Robertson, could you give us a moment? Robertson blinks in confusion. Dean Robertson, of course. Mr. Reed, Maya's heart stops. Ethan, the man she met in the maintenance closet, is Ethan Reed, CEO of Reed Holdings. The visitor wasn't lost. He'd been watching all along. The silence feels too thick to breathe. Sunlight cuts through the blinds, slicing across the university seal that hangs on the wall behind Dean Robertson's empty chair. Maya stands frozen, her eyes darting from the dean to Ethan, who now stands tall, calm, and unmistakably in charge. The same man she'd met last night in the maintenance closet now looks like someone else entirely. The hoodie is gone, replaced by a sharp charcoal suit. Confidence radiates off him like quiet thunder. Maya, softly, confused. Reed, Ethan, gently, that's right. Ethan Reed. He steps closer, his voice steady, calm, but full of something deeper than authority. Ethanso of Reed Holdings. The company that just merged with this university. Maya's mouth opens, then closes again. She doesn't know what to say, Maya, whispering, you. You were pretending to be a visitor? Ethan not pretending, observing. He glances around the office, his gaze lingering on the papers piled high, the memos, the budgets, the impersonal data sheets that determine people's futures. Ethan, continuing. When we take over an institution, I don't start with spreadsheets. I start with people. I like to see how the place feels. Maya takes a shaky breath. Maya, you watched me. Ethan, meeting her eyes. I did. For weeks. Not because I wanted to judge you, but because I wanted to understand what this place had lost. She blinks, confusion and humiliation warring in her face. Maya, and what did you find, Mr. Reed? He looks straight at her. Ethani found a woman holding this university together after everyone else clocked out. Her lips part slightly. She doesn't know how to respond. Ethan, turning to the dean. Dean Robertson, I reviewed your staff reports this morning. You're letting go of your most reliable employee. Why? Robertson stiffens. Dean Robertson, sir. The cleaning department exceeded its labor budget. Ms. Lopez often works overtime without authorization. That's a liability. Ethan, interrupting. You mean she stayed late to fix problems others ignored? Dean Robertson, that's not the point. Ethan, cutting him off. It is the point. The dean's mouth tightens. Ethan steps closer, lowering his voice, but sharpening every word. Ethan, tell me, Dean. When was the last time you saw one of your professors stay late to fix a broken vacuum motor? Robertson says nothing. His silence speaks volumes. Ethan, continuing. This woman works past midnight because she cares. Not for a bonus, not for recognition, but because she believes the students deserve better. He turns back to Maya, his expression softening. Ethan, and yet she's the one on the termination list. The air in the room feels charged. Maya's hands tremble slightly, but she lifts her chin, the first spark of courage rising behind her fear. Maya, Mr. Reed, I appreciate what you're saying, but I don't need anyone fighting my battles for me. Ethan studies her. Impressed, Ethan, quietly. No, you've been fighting them alone for far too long. She opens her mouth to protest, but her throat closes. The weight of the last few years sits heavy in her chest. The unpaid bills, the endless double shifts, the quiet exhaustion. And now, this. Ethan, to the dean. You said she exceeded the budget. How much? Robertson flips through his file, uncomfortable. Dean Robertson, approximately $650 in overtime. Ethan stares at him for a long, quiet moment. Then he takes out his checkbook, signs, tears off a slip, and places it neatly on the dean's desk. Ethan consider it paid. The sound of the paper hitting the desk echoes like a gavel strike. Maya gasps softly. Maya, you can't just… Ethan, smiling faintly. I can. And I just did. He turns to Robertson again. Ethan now, about that termination list. I want every name reviewed, personally, by me. Effective immediately. Dean Robertson, Mr. Reed, with respect. Our contracts. Ethan, firm. Our contracts exist to protect people, not to bury them. If this institution can't see the worth of the people who keep it running, then the problem isn't the budget. It's leadership. The dean looks small suddenly, his authority draining away under the calm force of Ethan's conviction. Ethan nods toward the door. Ethan, that'll be all. Dean, Ms. Lopez and I have things to discuss. Robertson hesitates, then gathers his papers and leaves silently. Silence. Just the ticking of the clock. Maya stands motionless, still trying to catch up. Maya, why did you do that? Ethan, because it was right. Maya, shaking her head. You don't even know me, Ethan, softly. I've seen enough to know what kind of person you are. He gestures toward the maintenance closet, visible through the glass wall, faintly visible down the hall. Ethan, continuing, I watched you fix things that weren't yours to fix. You stayed late when no one thanked you. You spoke kindly to people who ignored you. He pauses, then adds quietly, Ethan, that's leadership, Maya. You just didn't know it yet. Maya looks down at her hands, tears threatening again. Maya, leadership. I'm a janitor. Ethan, smiling. You're the backbone. Every great institution stands on the shoulders of people who care. and you care more than anyone I've met here. She shakes her head slowly. You make it sound like it matters. Ethan, it does matter. You matter. He leans against the desk, folding his arms. Ethan, gently, tell me something, Maya. Why do you stay here? She hesitates. Her voice drops to a whisper. Maya, because I don't have anywhere else to go. It's the same line from the night before. But this time, it doesn't sound like surrender. It sounds like a confession. Ethan's eyes soften. Ethan, then maybe it's time we fix that. Maya, confused. What do you mean? He picks up a folder from the dean's desk and sets it in front of her. Ethan, this university is about to change. We're creating a new mentorship and outreach program to connect students with the staff who make this place work. Not just professors, but the people who show up when no one's looking. Maya blinks. Maya, and what does that have to do with me? Ethan, everything. He opens the folder. Inside are documents labeled Northbridge Renewal Initiative, Pilot Leadership Program. At the top, Program Coordinator, Proposed, Maya Lopez. Maya stares at it like it's written in another language. Maya, this can't be real. I clean floors. Ethan, and you do it with more integrity than most people run departments. That's exactly the kind of person I want leading this project. Her lips tremble. Maya, why me? Ethan, quietly. Because you remind me of someone. Maya looks up, meeting his eyes. Maya, who? He smiles faintly, the memory softening his tone. Ethan, my mother. She worked nights at a university just like this one. Cleaned classrooms, emptied trash cans, kept the place spotless, and never complained once. She believed education was sacred, even though she couldn't afford to finish hers. He pauses, eyes distant, Ethan continuing. She used to tell me, Ethan, you can build buildings and sign paychecks, but none of it matters if you forget the people who sweep your floors. A single tear escapes down Maya's cheek. Maya, softly. She sounds like someone worth remembering. Ethan, nodding. She is. He straightens, his tone now firm but kind. Ethan, so here's what I'm offering you. Maya, stay, not as a janitor, but as the coordinator for this program. We'll train you, pay you properly, and build something this university's never seen before. A culture of respect. Maya is silent for a long moment, tears pooling in her eyes. Maya, I don't know if I can do that. Ethan, you already are. She laughs, a sound full of disbelief and gratitude tangled together. Maya, quietly. Don't know what to say, Ethan. Softly. Say. You'll try. She looks up at him, and for the first time in years, there's light in her eyes again. Maya, I'll try. Golden sunlight spills across the courtyard as students rush between buildings. From a distance, we see Maya walking out of the administration office, her folder clutched tightly to her chest. She pauses near a bench, exhales, and looks up at the sky. Her reflection shimmers faintly in the glass doors, not as the janitor who mopped late into the night, but as someone reborn. Ethan steps out behind her quietly. Ethan, you'll do great. You know, Maya, smiling faintly. You sound pretty sure about that. Ethan, you've been right before. They share a small laugh, the kind that promises something bigger still to come. Ethan, gently. See you Monday, Coordinator Lopez. He walks away, leaving her standing in the warm light of the setting sun, the world around her suddenly brighter, fuller, alive with new possibility. Maya breathes deeply. For the first time in years, the air doesn't feel heavy. Golden light spills over the ivy-covered buildings. The university quad buzzes with life, students chatting, bicycles clattering, autumn leaves swirling through the air. In the midst of it all, Maya Lopez walks briskly across campus, clutching a clipboard and a folder stamped Renewal Initiative Progress Report. Her uniform is gone. Now, she wears a soft beige blazer and an ID badge that reads, Maya Lopez, Program Coordinator. But behind the composed walk is tension, fear. A quiet storm, meeting room, mourning a long oak table. 12 faculty members. A projector humming softly. Maya stands at the front, adjusting her notes. Maya steadying herself. Good morning, everyone. I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me. Today, I'll be presenting our student staff mentorship pilot results. Dr. Collins, interrupting dryly. You mean the program where janitors and cafeteria workers are paired with students? A few professors exchange skeptical glances. Maya gently. Yes, that's the one. Dr. Collins still don't understand how this contributes to academic excellence. Maya, calmly. Because empathy is excellence, Doctor. And our students are learning more from the people who keep this place running than from half the textbooks we buy. A quiet stir moves around the table. Maya keeps her composure, her heart thudding against her ribs. Professor Jensen. You're very passionate, Ms. Lopez. But some of us worry that this initiative is a distraction from our research goals. Maya glances toward the back of the room, where Ethan Reed sits silently. Observing, he wears a dark suit again, leaning back with the quiet authority of a man who sees everything and says little. Maya, meeting their gaze. This isn't a distraction. It's a bridge. We're connecting people who've never spoken before. A first-year student learned English from one of our cafeteria staff. A custodian taught a robotics major how to repair a motor, Dr. Collins, smirking. And you think that justifies your position here? The air thickens. Ethan shifts slightly, ready to step in, but Maya raises a hand, stopping him. Maya, I don't need to justify it. The results speak for themselves. Attendance in those mentorship groups went up by 42%. Disciplinary cases went down. Students reported feeling safer, more understood. She slides a chart across the table. Her voice trembles just slightly, but her conviction shines through. Maya, firm, respect changes people. It's measurable. A pause. Even Collins doesn't have an immediate comeback. Ethan's eyes flicker with pride. Subtle, restrained. The meeting ends. Faculty scatter with muttered conversations. Maya steps out. Shoulders tight, breathing hard. Ethan follows a few steps behind, hands in his pockets. Ethan, quietly. You handled that beautifully. Maya, half laughing. Beautifully. I was shaking. Ethan, smiling. They didn't see that. All they saw was a leader who believes in what she's building. Maya stops, looking at him. The gratitude in her eyes almost painful. Maya, softly. You believed in me first, then shaking his head. No, I just reminded you to believe in yourself. They walk together toward the courtyard. Students pass by, waving at Maya now, a far cry from the days when she was invisible. A young man calls out, student, cheerful, Ms. Lopez. The community kitchen event's at 6, right? Maya, smiling, that's right. Don't forget your apron this time, Jordan. Ethan watches the exchange, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Ethan. They adore you. Maya, they don't adore me. They trust me. There's a difference. Ethan, and that difference is what most people never learn. Warm light fills the room. Community dinner night banner hangs across the wall. Students serve food alongside staff. Laughter, clatter, chatter blending into a hum of unity. Maya moves between tables, checking in on everyone. Her eyes are alive again, glowing with purpose. Ethan stands quietly near the door, watching her orchestrate the event like a symphony. He catches the eye of Dean Robertson, who approaches hesitantly. Dean Robertson, Mr. Reed. About Ms. Lopez, I'll admit, I was wrong. Ethan, nodding. You weren't wrong to question her. You were wrong to underestimate her. Robertson nods slowly, humbled. Dean Robertson. You were right about one thing. The culture here. It needed her more than she needed us. Ethan smiles faintly, his eyes never leaving Maya. The event's over. Maya stacks leftover supplies, humming quietly. The last of the students leave. Ethan appears in the doorway, sleeves rolled up, holding 2 paper cups of coffee. Ethan truce offering. Maya, grinning. You mean reward offering? She takes the cup, their fingers brushing. A flicker of something unspoken hangs between them. Something delicate. Dangerous, beautiful. Ethan, softly. You've done more in 3 months than most leaders manage in years. Maya, shrugging lightly. Or maybe everyone just needed someone to listen. Ethan, nodding. Listening is leadership. My mother used to say the same thing. Maya looks down, the warmth in her chest tinged with sadness. I wish she could see you now, Ethan, smiling sadly. She'd probably tell me to stop working so late. They both laugh softly. The silence that follows is gentle, filled with unsaid things. Maya, after a moment, do you ever miss who you were before all this? Before the money, the titles? Ethan leans against the wall, thoughtful. Ethan every day. But I've learned something from you. Maya, what's that? Ethan, that being important, isn't about being powerful. It's about being present. Her eyes glisten. Maya, quietly. You've been more present than anyone I know. Ethan hesitates, like he wants to say more, then looks away. Changing the subject, Ethan, you should get some rest. You've earned it. Maya, smiling faintly. You too. Mr. Reed, Ethan. A beat, Maya, whispering. Ethan. The name feels strange on her tongue, fragile, like glass. They share a long look before he leaves. The door closing softly behind him. The campus is quiet now. The fountains whisper in the dark. Maya walks alone toward her small apartment across the street. Heels clicking softly, but halfway there, her phone buzzes. She checks the message. It's from an unknown number. You don't belong here. Janitor. Her heart stops. Another message follows. We know what you did. Before you came here, her fingers tremble. She looks around. The street empty. The air suddenly colder. She locks the door behind her. Breathing hard. The apartment is small but clean, filled with quiet reminders of her past. A photo of a younger Maya in a hospital uniform. A faded ID badge from a different university. She sinks to the floor, clutching her phone, eyes wide with fear. Maya, to herself. Whispering, not again. Her phone buzzes once more. You can't hide forever, Maya. We remember. Tears spill down her face. The fragile world she'd rebuilt feels like it's cracking apart. She presses her palms to her eyes, shaking. Maya, whispering, please. Not again! It was a quiet Friday evening at St. Clair University, the kind that wrapped the campus in golden dusk. The cleaning staff had already clocked out, leaving behind the faint scent of disinfectant and the echo of distant laughter from the dorms. Maya was still there. She moved through the empty corridors with her mop and bucket, humming softly under her breath, a habit she'd picked up from her mother whenever silence felt too heavy. It had been a long day. Her feet ached and her hands were raw from scrubbing, but there was something peaceful about working after hours, when no one could see her tired eyes or the weight she carried. She didn't know that just a few buildings away, Ethan Reed sat in his office, and everything was about to change. Ethan had stayed late too, going through stacks of financial reports and renovation plans for the university. Ever since he'd returned as the new CEO of the university's foundation, he'd felt a strange pull toward the people who worked behind the scenes, the ones who made the place run but never got credit. That's why Maya fascinated him. Something about her quiet discipline, her kindness even in exhaustion, had gotten under his skin. She wasn't like the faculty members who bowed to donors. She wasn't chasing promotions or attention. She was just real. But tonight, he wasn't thinking about her smile. He was staring at a confidential file that had been accidentally included in a report the HR department sent to his desk. It was labeled, Maya Lopez, Prior Employment Termination Notice, City General Hospital. He shouldn't have opened it. He knew that, but he did. Inside were typed statements, stamped signatures, the cold machinery of a system that didn't care about people, only liability. Employee terminated following allegations of patient negligence, resulting in disciplinary review. Ethan's pulse quickened. He read it again, slower this time. It didn't make sense. Maya? Negligence? He felt the familiar ache of disappointment twist in his chest. For weeks, he'd believed she represented everything good about the world. Hard work, humility, resilience. But this file, it told another story. He stood up abruptly, pushing the chair back with a harsh scrape. An hour later, Maya was cleaning the library steps when Ethan's shadow fell across the marble floor. She looked up, startled. "Oh, Mr. Reed, I didn't think anyone was still here." His expression was unreadable. "Can we talk, Maya?" Something in his tone made her set the mop aside immediately. "Of course." He gestured toward the quiet reading lounge, the dim lamps casting long shadows on the polished wood tables. They sat across from each other, the air between them heavy with something she couldn't name. Ethan opened the folder slowly and slid it across the table. "Do you want to tell me what this is?" Maya froze. The moment her eyes fell on the hospital logo, her throat tightened. I didn't know that was still what?" Ethan's voice was calm, but there was a flicker of hurt beneath the surface. "Still following you? Still part of your story?" She looked down at her hands, the ones that had mopped these floors for months, and whispered, "I was never guilty." Ethan's jaw tightened. "The report says you were dismissed for negligence, that a patient under your care—" "I know what it says," she interrupted softly, tears stinging her eyes. "But that's not what happened." For a long moment, neither spoke. The ticking of the old clock filled the silence. Then Maya began to tell him everything. She'd been a night janitor at City General Hospital, working double shifts to support her mother's medical bills. One night, a patient, an elderly man, had fallen in the hallway. She'd been nearby, called for help, and tried to lift him, but by the time the nurses arrived, it was too late. The hospital launched an inquiry. Because she was a contractor, not staff, they blamed her to close the case quickly. "They needed someone to take responsibility," she said, voice trembling. "And I was the easiest one to blame." Ethan listened, his expression unreadable. "Why didn't you fight it?" he asked finally. "I tried," she said quietly. "But when you're poor, truth costs more than you can afford. Lawyers' hearings. I didn't have the time or money. I just left. Started over here?" He leaned back, running a hand through his hair. "You should have told me." Her eyes lifted to meet his. "Would it have made a difference?" That question hung in the air like smoke. Ethan wanted to believe her. Every instinct screamed that she was telling the truth, that the woman who stayed late to polish every railing and comfort crying, students couldn't be guilty of neglect. But the CEO in him had seen too many stories, too many excuses, and the part of him that had started to care, really care, was afraid of being wrong about her. He stood up abruptly. "I need time to think." Maya's chest tightened. "Please, Mr. Reed, don't fire me. I have nowhere else to go." He hesitated at the doorway, his back still turned. "No one's fired yet, but I can't ignore this either." And then he was gone. The next morning, whispers began to spread. Someone in HR had noticed Ethan's inquiry about her record. Someone else had mentioned the old file. By noon, Maya could feel eyes following her through the halls. When she entered the staff lounge, conversation stopped. Even the other janitors avoided her gaze. By evening, her locker was empty except for a small note. "Meeting with administration tomorrow." 9 a.m. She sat on the bench, staring at the paper until it blurred. Everything she'd rebuilt, the fragile stability, the quiet pride, was slipping away again. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He sat on his balcony overlooking the campus, the file still open beside him. He reread every line, every date, every signature. Something didn't add up. The timestamps on the incident reports were inconsistent. The same supervisor's signature appeared on 2 different forms filed hours apart. And the witness statement, it was missing a name. He frowned. Years of business had trained him to notice details. This wasn't just negligence. It looked like a cover-up. He picked up his phone and made a call. "Jessica, it's Ethan. I need you to pull the hospital's archived reports from 2018, everything on the Lopez case. Quietly." The next day, Maya sat outside the administration office, hands clasped tightly in her lap. She'd ironed her uniform twice that morning, though her stomach twisted too much to eat. Through the frosted glass, she could see Ethan talking with the dean. Their silhouettes moved sharply. A gesture here, a raised hand there. When the door finally opened, Ethan stepped out. His expression had changed. "Maya," he said softly. "Come inside." She stood, her heart pounding. The dean looked uncomfortable. "We've reviewed your file, Ms. Lopez. Mr. Reed requested additional verification from the hospital. Maya's throat went dry. And? Ethan placed a folder on the desk, but this one had a different header. Confidential. Internal audit report. It seems, he said quietly, the hospital falsified parts of your record to protect a senior nurse. You were never found guilty of negligence. The charges were quietly dismissed, but the dismissal was never sent to your new employers. Maya blinked, unable to process. So, I was innocent. Ethan met her eyes. You were always innocent. The dean cleared his throat, embarrassment flickering across his face. Ms. Lopez, on behalf of the university, we deeply regret this misunderstanding. But Maya barely heard him. She was looking at Ethan, the man who had doubted her, investigated her, and now defended her. For the first time, she saw not the CEO but the human being behind the title. Outside, as the sun dipped behind the bell tower, Maya and Ethan stood in the courtyard in silence. I'm sorry, Ethan said finally. I should have trusted you. Her eyes shimmered, but her voice was steady. You did what you thought was right. Maybe that's what makes you human, he smiled faintly. I'd like to make it right. Not just with words, she frowned. What do you mean? He looked out toward the old janitor's hall, the one with broken lockers and rusted pipes. You once told me every worker deserves dignity. Let's start there. I'm rebuilding the department from scratch. Better pay, training, health benefits. You'll oversee it. Her eyes widened. Me? Who else? He said softly. You've already been leading with more heart than most of us ever will. For a long moment, she couldn't speak. Then she whispered, Thank you. Ethan shook his head. No, Maya, thank you, for reminding me what leadership really means. But as they stood there, the sound of footsteps echoed behind them. A woman in a tailored suit approached, the head of the university board. She stopped, folded her arms, and said sharply, Mr. Reed, we need to talk, immediately, about Ms. Lopez. The warmth in the air vanished. Maya's stomach dropped. Ethan's expression darkened. Of course, he said quietly. The woman's gaze flicked toward Maya. You might want to prepare yourself. Some things from the past don't stay buried forever. And with that, she turned and walked away, leaving them standing in the fading light, the unspoken dread hanging between them. Maya wiped her hands on a faded rag as the evening light slipped through the library windows. She heard footsteps echo down the hallway and stiffened. Excuse me, is this the janitor's closet? She looked up. A tall man, slightly older than the usual students, held a folder in his hand. His expression was polite, but there was something intense in his eyes. Yes, that's me, she said softly, tucking the rag behind her back. Can I help you? I'm looking for Ethan Cole. Alumni office? He said I should find him here. Maya froze. Ethan Cole. She hadn't seen him in years, not since graduation. He had been the kind of student everyone noticed, smart, ambitious, charismatic. Now, standing in front of her in a simple jacket and sneakers, he looked different. Grounded, Ethan? She whispered. May I call you Maya? He asked almost gently. She nodded, unable to speak. I've heard some things about the library's maintenance, Ethan continued. About the work you've been doing here. Maya swallowed. Her throat was dry. I just do my job. Ethan stepped closer, lowering his voice. Maya, the dean spoke to me, told me about the struggles, about how this job, well, it's barely keeping you afloat. I can manage, she said quickly, more defensively than she intended. It's just work. I've done worse. I know you have, Ethan said softly. And that's why I'm here. Maya's brow furrowed. Here, for what? I need to be honest, he said, his voice steady but calm. I'm not just visiting as an alumnus. I've been looking for someone like you. Maya blinked. Me? Yes, you, he said. You've been keeping this place together while everyone else moves on. And I know how that feels. To be overlooked, to be underestimated. Maya's hands tightened around the rag. I don't need anyone to feel sorry for me. It's not pity, Ethan said quickly. It's recognition and opportunity. Maya, I can help you in ways you didn't think were possible. She stepped back, shaking her head. I don't understand. Why would you care? Because I've been in your shoes, he said. Not exactly, but close enough to know the weight of it. And because his eyes softened, Because you deserve more than just surviving. Maya blinked, a lump forming in her throat. You don't know what it's like. I do, he said quietly. To be invisible when you're screaming to be seen. To work tirelessly and feel like it doesn't matter. I've watched you, Maya, and I know it does. It matters. To me, and soon, to the campus. She swallowed, the walls she had built around herself trembling. I'm just a janitor, that's all. You're not just a janitor, Ethan said, stepping closer, his tone gentle but unwavering. You're the reason this library still feels like a home. You notice every detail, care for every student who walks through these doors, even when they don't notice you. That's leadership. That's heart. And I can't ignore that. Maya looked down at her hands. Leadership? Heart, that's... Not me. It is, he said firmly. You've been leading this place quietly for years. And now I want you to lead in a way that's visible. I want you to help me transform this campus, starting with the spaces that matter most to students like you. Her breath caught. Transform? What do you mean? I mean, he said, opening the folder, turning this library into a hub. A place where students can thrive, not just survive. Where the forgotten and overlooked get the support they deserve. And I want you to run it. Not as a janitor, not as an assistant, as a partner. Maya stared, speechless. Her heart raced. I can't. I don't know how. You know exactly how, Ethan interrupted, smiling softly. You've been doing it already. Every late night, every extra task, every time you've stayed silent when things were unfair, you've been running this place in the only way that matters. She shook her head. This is too much. I'm not. Yes, you are, he said. And I've come here because I can see it. And because I can't do it without you. Tears pricked at her eyes. I don't know what to say. Then don't say anything, he said, taking a small step back, giving her space. Just think about it. I know the risks. I know the fear. But Maya, this could change everything for you. And for so many others who deserve a chance. She wiped her face, struggling to contain the emotions. And if I fail? You won't, he said firmly. Because you've never failed, not once. You just didn't see it. Her hands shook, the rag falling to the floor. She finally looked up, eyes wide. You really mean that? I mean it, he said, extending his hand. And I'll be here to make sure you never have to fight alone again. Maya hesitated for a long moment, then reached out. Her fingers brushed his. I don't know if I'm ready. You are, he said softly. You just didn't know it yet. The library's fluorescent lights flickered above them, but it felt warmer somehow. The silence stretched between them, heavy with possibility, yet light with hope. Okay, she whispered finally. I'll do it. Ethan's smile broke through, genuine and relieved. That's all I needed to hear. She blinked, feeling a strange mix of fear and exhilaration. But why me? There are so many others. Because you see what others overlook, he said. Because you care when no one else does. Because you've never given up, even when it would have been easier to quit. That's why. Her chest tightened, the weight of years lifting, replaced with a new, fragile hope. I don't know how to thank you. Don't, he said. Just promise me one thing. Anything. Promise me you'll believe in yourself as much as I believe in you. Maya nodded, tears streaming now. I promise. And in that moment, something shifted. The past, with all its pain, all its neglect and struggle, seemed to fade away. What had once been invisible now had a voice. What had been overlooked now had purpose. Ethan handed her the folder. Here are some initial plans. Take your time, but know that this is the beginning. For you, for this library, for the students who need you most. Maya took it, her hands trembling. This really can change things? It already has, he said, his eyes softening. Starting with you. And for the first time in years, Maya felt seen. Truly seen, not just as a janitor, not just as someone struggling, but as someone who mattered, someone who could make a difference. She exhaled, letting the weight of disbelief slip from her shoulders. I never thought this could happen. It happens, Ethan said quietly. When someone finally notices the heart behind the work. Maya smiled, small at first, then wider as courage surged inside her. Then, let's do it. Let's do it together, Ethan replied. extending his hand once more, and with that handshake, a quiet promise was made, a promise of change, hope, and the power of one person to ignite transformation. Maya walked through the main hall of the library, her fingers brushing against the polished oak counters that now gleamed under soft golden lights. Students bustled around, voices mingling with the gentle hum of computers, quiet laughter echoing between the shelves. She paused at the entrance, taking it all in. It was her library, her vision, her heart, finally made tangible. "Hard to believe it's the same place," Ethan said from behind, his voice warm, familiar. Maya turned, a smile breaking across her face. "I know, the old fluorescent lights, the broken chairs. It's gone." "Not gone," Ethan said, shaking his head with a grin. "Upgraded, alive." She laughed softly, though her chest tightened with emotion. "I never imagined I'd see this day, honestly. I didn't think I deserved it." "You deserve every bit of it," Ethan said, stepping closer. "And then some. Remember that day in the janitor's closet?" Maya's eyes widened, remembering the intensity of that moment. "How could I forget? I thought my life was over, that I'd never get a break." "You didn't need a break," Ethan said, voice gentle but firm. "You needed someone to recognize your worth. And I did, because you had it all along." Maya blinked, feeling tears prick at her eyes again. I still can't believe you saw it. Me. All of me. I didn't just see you," he said, smiling. "I felt it, and now everyone else can too." As she turned, a group of students approached, carrying books and digital tablets, their faces bright with curiosity. One of them, a shy sophomore, held up a note. "Excuse me, Miss Maya," he said nervously. "I just wanted to say thank you. You helped me find a scholarship program when I thought I'd never have a chance." Maya's chest swelled with emotion. "You did all the work yourself," she said softly. "No," he said quickly. "You guided me. You encouraged me. You didn't treat me like I was invisible even when others did." Ethan watched silently, proud, letting her feel the full weight of her impact. "See?" he said when the student walked away. "This is why you're here. This is what you were always meant to do." Maya swallowed, looking down at her hands. "It's overwhelming. All of this responsibility. You're not alone," Ethan said, reaching out. "And you've never been. You've just finally been given the tools and the people to make it real." Her gaze swept across the library, taking in the small cafe corner where students now gathered to collaborate, the quiet study areas with ergonomic chairs, and the community board filled with messages of support and opportunity. Each detail was a testament to months of planning, care, and relentless effort. "And Michael?" she whispered, thinking of her son. "He loves it," Ethan said, smiling. "He arranged the flowers himself this morning, just like he always wanted. You've given him a chance to grow in a space that nurtures him." Tears streamed freely now. I never thought I'd get to do something like this. Not me, not a janitor, not someone so invisible." "You were never invisible," Ethan said softly, taking her hand. "You just weren't seen by the right person. Until now." Her eyes met his. Gratitude mingling with something deeper, trust, hope, and a fragile sense of belonging. At that moment, the doors swung open, and the university dean stepped inside, flanked by a few faculty members. Maya's heart thudded. "Maya," the dean said warmly, "I wanted to personally congratulate you. The transformation of this library, it's extraordinary. Students are thriving. Engagement is up. And it's all because of your leadership. I just did what felt right," Maya said, still struggling to process the accolades. "What you did was remarkable," the dean continued. "You didn't just renovate a space. You built a community. You've inspired everyone here." Maya's hands shook. I couldn't have done it without support and guidance." Ethan stepped forward, smiling proudly. "Maya didn't just get guidance. She showed all of us what it means to care, to lead, and to never give up, even when life seems impossible." The dean nodded, impressed. "And this partnership you've built, it's a model for the entire campus, truly transformative." Maya's eyes scanned the room, and for the first time, she allowed herself to feel the full impact of her journey, the struggles, the near breakdowns, The moments she felt she'd never escape. Every late night scrubbing floors, every tear she had hidden behind her smile, every ounce of strength she had clung to, it all led to this moment. She glanced at Ethan, voice catching. You made me believe in myself. When I couldn't, and you never let yourself give up, he said softly. That's why it worked. That's why this library is alive. You did it all, Maya. I just helped you see it. A small group of students approached, carrying a plaque engraved with the library's new name, Maya's Haven, the community library. Maya's hands trembled as she touched it. I don't know what to say. Say you'll continue, Ethan said gently. Say you'll keep leading, keep inspiring, and keep making a difference. I will, she whispered, tears flowing freely now. I promise, Ethan smiled, watching her finally embrace the recognition she had earned. That's all anyone could ever ask. Just then, a familiar voice called from the far corner, Ms. Maya. You helped me last semester with my essay, and I got into my dream program. Maya's eyes softened. I remember you! That's wonderful. You were the only one who really believed in me, the student said earnestly. Thank you. Maya looked at Ethan, sharing a quiet glance. They didn't need words. The impact was clear, alive in every corner, every smile. Every student who now felt seen. Hours later, as the library quieted and the last students trickled out, Maya stood at the entrance, Michael by her side. Mom, he said softly, placing his small hand in hers. We did it. Maya knelt to his level, brushing his hair back. No, Michael. You did it. You, me, all of us. We made it real together. Ethan approached, holding 2 mugs of steaming coffee. To beginnings, he said, handing her one. To beginnings, Maya echoed, lifting the mug. The library glowed around them, a testament to resilience, courage, and the power of one person being seen at the right moment. And in that warm, golden light, Maya finally allowed herself to hope, to dream, and to believe that even the smallest voice could echo across generations, leaving a mark that would never be forgotten.